doing really is people asked a lot of questions, how do you go up and down hills? So what we're doing today is, what I did was, this fence that you see behind on the backside has been up for 12 years. This was my original fence, the original time I put up my first prototype. It's been up for 12 years. It's a little sagging a little bit, but it's still very functional. It's still worthwhile to keep up, but I wanted to have somebody, you know, this is the worst garden I can imagine. There's hills everywhere going up and down, so I wanted to show how to do that. So if you just take a look behind, they were black poles when I first came out with them. We've come out with the green, so they look better. And I just wanted to show you the whole system, and it's, you know, we guarantee it for 10 years. My fence has been up for 12 and it's still perfect. Little sagging in the fence, I just haven't bothered this winter to tighten it up. But since I wanted to shoot this video to show you how to do this, I just thought this would be a good time to do it. What I'm doing now is I'm going to install a stake for the perimeter of this deer fence. I have a perennial garden here. This is not just for vegetable gardens. It's, if you have rabbits and groundhogs and deer, they'll eat almost all of your plants. And what I want to do is I want to have perennial gardens. So I'm installing a deer fence with a groundhog barrier here. And what I'm doing is I'm going to space my stakes I'm putting in and my posts everywhere there's a grade change, and then every 12 to 15 feet in between if there's no grade change. So here's, as you can see, I'm coming downhill a little bit, so I'm gonna make a grade change here and then go down there. So I'm gonna put a stake at every place I'm doing a grade change. And this is my twin bubble level. So you just slide this over the stake when you're installing, and you're gonna pound it in. This stuff goes into, this is clay soils under here, and it's going in real easy. I'm not working very hard. And then as you're going down, you're just making sure that these bubbles stay, in between the lines. If you ever used a bubble level, you'll see it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. And if you don't, when you're looking at this, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. And then you just take this into the soil. I'm not working real hard. And then if you're off a little bit when you're doing it, you can just gently push it. And as you're driving it in, it'll just keep driving into the soil. And what you want to do is you want to have this, a good 2 feet in. So this is getting pretty close, and I'm nice and level here. And you slide this off. And what you're going to do, since I'm installing the groundhog barrier, I'm going to want to put this rest stop in to keep the posts up for a while after I've dug the hole. So what I'm going to do is just slide this over down to the ground level, because this will keep my poles at the level I want. You just slide this down this stake gently. There's a set screw built in here, and what you'll do is you just take your wrench that comes with the kit and just gently snug this rest stop when you put your pole in. And I'm gonna put the clips in while I'm putting the post up. It's a lot easier to do it here. And since I'm doing a grade change, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put clips in both sets of holes, because it makes it easier to put the fence up. What you'll do is you'll come to the fence, you'll clip it on, you'll cut it, and you'll start the fence at the new grade. You'll trim a little of the fence off, but it just makes it so easy to put up. Get a little dirty, but they just wipe off. Slide it over like that, and you're all set to go. Now, as you can see, I got the fence. I've started the fence, and I always start at the easy gate, and then I go to where there's a grade change, and you can see that there's a slight grade change here, and I'm going to adjust my fence at this pole. I didn't have to adjust it here because it's nice and square. I'll get it at this pole by using the set of clips on this side. So what I'll do is I'll take this first one, and I'll get it so it's nice and taut, and then I'll go down and clip the clips, keeping the fence material pretty taut. And when it starts going past where I want to be, I'll switch how I use these clips just to keep the fence material nice and taut. You can make the clip go one way or the other. And what I want to do, since I'm going to cut it here and make this change and start again with these clips, I don't have to worry about what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take this and keep this material nice and taut so it looks, visibly looks very good when you're done. We have this fence, this section of fence, all nice and square, all nice and taut, and nice and tight. And what I'll do, since I want to start over, I'll just clip this fence off right at this line. And sometimes, depending on the grade change, you may have to skip a line and go the other way. You know, like this one, we're going to be going outside this. So this one, I'm going to switch which one I'm cutting. Now it's coming again to this next one, so I'm going to switch again. So now, we'll use some zip ties to once we're done adding all the fence, we'll use some of these zip ties to make this nice and tight around here. You'll never see it. It'll be a perfect installation. The fence will look all nice and taut, nice and square, and we'll move on from there. And what you do is you'll start this again, and Ryan's going to walk all the way down to the next pole, so we make sure we have this at the correct angle going up and down the hill. Now you can do this by yourself. You can just clip this on and then move down and do the next one. But since I got a helper, might as well use it. So if you just have a little bit of patience, you can have a fence that looks absolutely stunning, no matter what you've done to what kind of hill you're on. So we're just going to do this. Nice and snug. You want to put some tension when you're clipping these clips in. Don't be afraid to put a little tension on your fence, because it's going to make it nice and taut. It'll look like, you know, you're going to look like a professional did it. And you can do this all by yourself without a problem. Okay, and as you can see, there was quite a difference in, it looks like a step ladder. So that's just a piece of material to throw away. Every kit comes with a whole bunch of these. I'll just take these edges and I'll snug them up just so you can't see this open edge. Cut these ends off. Pretty easy to do. A little more work, but you can make it do anything you want. The toughest part of the whole fence system is digging the trench to put the metal fence underground. And as I mentioned in the earlier videos, what you want to do is you want to have it's about 6 inches deep, and you want to sort of round it. So when the groundhogs come to dig at the fence to try to get in, when they dig down, instead of hitting just dirt, they're going to hit fence. So they're going to go to another spot. Now we're going to show you changing grades, putting the groundhog barrier up. Now it's a little more difficult than the standard installation like I showed you in the first video, because I've already used these 2 sets of clips, and the fence wants to buckle at these grade changes for sure. So what I'm going to suggest, and what I do, is that I'm going to cut this a little long, so I am not fighting this whole roll while I'm trying to do this. So what I do is I go up, a few inches, so I know no matter what I do, I go down one edge. All right, now that I got that done, the next thing you want to do is, of course, you got to make sure that you got your fence at the right height. And the system was designed to have this 3-foot roll of fence and use these bottom 3 sets of clips. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these 3 clips from the deer fence, and we're going to put new ones in, and we're going to clip these 2 together, reassembling these 2 fences. Now sometimes they actually pop apart. I would suggest you take this out and use a new one, a new clip. And you'll keep the right tension on the fence. And then you'll take this at the right level, and you'll just clip this through the plastic fence. Now I have this fence, as you can see, rolled out through this deep groove I've cut. And since I have this fence here, I'm just going to do this. Just snug it up, pull, and pop the clip in. Now you can trim this off. So when you're putting your next set up, and you want to have enough that goes over, because you're going to want to put zip ties in between so the animals can't pull in. Always go out the angle you went on. And then what you'll do is you'll start this row, same thing, by popping these clips out, tying your fence in, and going back down. I'm just going to pop these clips open. That one popped open. Okay, you'll want to have, once again, about the same height. Just keep it at the same height. Pop it in here. You're going to want to make sure Brian's got that at the same height so we can see what angle this needs to be. Get nice tension on the plastic fence. Snap it in. So I want to overlap it a little bit. So I'm going to start trimming here, approximately. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to feed this zip tie through. That's not super important. If you get it right in the middle, who cares? All you're trying to do is, number one, make your fence look good when you're putting it up. And number two, to block any intrusion of any place that the groundhogs and the rabbits will get in here. Now I know it seems like a lot of extra work, but I think we're the only system on the planet that can keep groundhogs out of a garden. And then, of course, if you get little things sticking out you don't like what it looks like, just trim them off. And then, for sure, these edges of these things. So when it's all said and done, you see a nice professional installation that looks fine. All right, the last thing you're going to need to do after you get your plastic fence up and your metal fence in and